All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Bullhucker podcast. I'm Moose Lundstrom.
I'm Adam Vilke.
And we have returning champion, returning storyteller, returning Bullhucker, Dencia Kudron.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Hey, girl, hey.
If you're new to the podcast, welcome. So this podcast is we bring on a guest and they tell 3 stories of their life. I will say this to begin with. If you have not watched the previous episode, you might want to watch it because Dencia tells 3 great stories. And for the first part of this podcast, we're going to try and guess, Adam and I, which one we think is the fib, the lie, the bullhucker out of the 3. So if you have not watched the previous episode, please make sure you do that. Shut this off now and go back one.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. So you can find us on the bullhucker.com where you can find everything we do. We're on all platforms for media. We can find us on, not on MySpace. I'm going to quit saying MySpace. Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can find us on there.
You should do MySpace.
I tried. It's weird. I don't know. I couldn't figure out how to download anything I don't know. Someone tell me how to do MySpace. I'll get that shit. Hey, Tom, I'm still with you, buddy.
I always picture if like somebody does a MySpace, like Tom's in the basement sleeping, and he like wakes up, Mom, I'm back.
Like the old school computer just turns on and the wheels start going. He's like, oh, we got one.
Blowing off his floppy disk.
That's the fat guy from Brush again. He can't figure it out. Him that shitty ass podcast of his. Give it up, dude. MySpace ain't for you.
I will not give you a MySpace.
I wonder how much Tom hates Zuckerberg. I mean, I bet he just despises Facebook. You know what I mean?
It's like on that movie, People to Kill.
Yeah, Billy Madison.
Yeah,
I was just
Billy
talking about that
Madison.
the other day.
Yeah.
No, I think it's more like on Ace Ventura with Ray Finkel, who's got Dan Marino everywhere. He's got, there's a picture of
Laces out.
Zuckerberg, yeah, with just darts in it. You know what I mean? Like, I was going to rule the world, you son of a bitch. Anyway, if I can figure it out, I'm still with you, buddy.
Yeah.
And
I'm in.
you guys are going to be on my top 8 friends.
I'll create one too, Adam.
Sure.
You guys can be on my top 8
I
friends.
couldn't figure out the first time, but I'll try it again.
We talked about this one day. What song did you have on MySpace?
I didn't have a MySpace.
What?
Yeah, what got kind of like 30? You had a MySpace?
Well, yeah, because it was out like 20 years ago.
No.
2008 is when I got on Facebook, so it was before that.
Tomato.
So yeah, you might have still been 30 back then. Anyway.
Okay.
Jab, punch. Jab, punch. All right, so
Okay.
last episode we had 3 great stories. The Salt and Pepper surprise, accidentally delivered a baby, and up shit creek without a paddle. So this is the point where Ab and I've actually won this like once. Paper, rock, scissors.
Won like 3 times, dude.
I don't know.
I won like the first 5.
He's amazing at this. When you watched the episode last month, Matt couldn't get the rhythm down. It took us like 20 minutes to paper, rock, scissors. I love you, Matt, but I'd go like this, and he'd go, wait. I'm like, he said it was on 4, like, and then shoot.
Yeah.
You ever heard that?
Yeah, it's rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
No, it's rock, paper, scissors. 1, 2, 3.
No.
That's how you and I've been doing
Rock,
it.
paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, well, anyway. He messed me up. No,
He's sorry, Matt.
I'm sorry, Matt. You and I did it okay. That's why me and
Now
Matt...
I'm going to be all messed up.
That's why me and Matt will never make love. We have no rhythm together. You're lost, Matt. Greatest 10 seconds of your life. Ready?
See, it's rock, paper, scissors, then.
Shoot.
No.
You were doing 3.
Rock, paper,
You
scissors,
did.
shoot.
And then you stopped.
So you want to go...
Yes.
Yeah.
That's going to fuck me up. I guarantee I'm going to look back. I don't think that's how we've been doing it. But okay, ready? Okay, ready? I'm going to try your silly-ass way.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Damn it! I should have went rock one more time.
Yes!
See, that's the way you do. You rock,
Triple,
paper, scissors, shoot.
overtime,
Yeah.
win, baby.
Yeah. Bravo.
I even did it on your weird-ass Fort Morgan way. So anyway...
Good job.
Review the tape, dude. That's how we always do it.
I'm going to have to... I'm probably wrong. And I'll be like, damn it.
No, I look like an
I
asshole.
might have lost, but I'm right.
He'll never admit it.
It's like in marriage.
All right,
Yes.
Mr. Vilke. So are you ready? Okay. What...
I'm going to go with up shit creek without a paddle.
You think that's the bullhucker? You
I think that's the
one
bullhucker.
Okay. So this was what got me last week. The most outrageous one, I think, is the salt and pepper surprise. But that's the one I'm most leaning towards. You know what I mean? So I think, I don't know. The Hall sisters drowning together, I don't think that would have been on the news, so I wouldn't have heard of that. So I don't. This was hard because I don't know. It's so tough because some people play it down, and some people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
hard to do.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the salt and pepper surprise. And it's probably accidental delivered a baby watch, and we're both wrong, and she's the first one to beat us. She's so
every
smiling.
episode, one of us has guessed it.
Right.
Okay, and why did each of you pick what you picked?
I don't know. I think a lot of it was just like with your like body language and your like laughing and that type thing. It wasn't. There wasn't like the personality in the last one that there was in the previous two.
Gotcha.
Dencia, I love you. You're one of my favorite people in the world. And I'll tell you why I didn't pick accidentally delivered a baby. Is because to me that seems like some kind of crazy shit that would have happened to you. You know what I mean? Having known you, that is something that would have happened to Dencia Kudron. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Up shit creek without a paddle, I think that's pretty believable. Although it's the simplest of stories, so that might be the easiest one to have written as a lie. But the salt and pepper surprise, that has never came up ever in conversation. You've eaten salt and pepper. So I'm going to say, and that's something I would tell people. I mean, we're old, and I know anybody below 25 is like, who's salt and pepper? You know. So that's okay. So I'm going to take salt and pepper, and you're going to take
Shit Creek.
So Dencia Kudron, what is it?
Larry is the winner.
Oh, what's
that? Is the lie. That is the lie.
Oh man.
Yes.
Here's the horrible part. When he picks something, he's right so often. I'm like, damn, he's probably got the right one. You know what I mean? But we spread each other out, so we're like Vegas, and you're like the guy gambling. The house is gonna win.
And
right?
had we had not been friends, you're right. You maybe have been like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. But that one's the most outrageous story, so that's usually true.
See, that would have been my second pick.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because when you were telling the story, you kept like reiterating that you were sunburned. You were like trying to like oversell the sunburn thing. And I was like,
So does Chelsea know them or no?
Oh, yeah, she does know them actually really well. Like, she's been to their birthday parties, and they really are legit clients of theirs.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And are, I don't want to say friends, but like, she does know them, and they are their client. And that's why I use that, because she was telling me stories of their salt and pepper stories and things that have happened with them when they've been on tour. And I'm like, dude, this is crazy that you like know salt and pepper. Like, I want to meet them.
Right.
And I haven't.
That's cool. But
they really were at the Paris. They did a stint.
Okay.
So
up shit creek without a paddle.
True.
You guys almost died. And how old were you when that happened?
So the girls were in high school, so I would have been in middle school.
So you said 8th grade, 7th, 8th grade. Okay.
Yeah.
And where was this at?
In Canyon City, by where my grandparents live. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's actually the Colorado, right?
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
That's a crazy river.
That is a crazy river. Yeah.
That would be, someone our size would even have a hard time probably keeping our footing in there.
Whitewater rafting in that river one time.
Really?
Yeah. And there's, how that is in rivers. Like, there's certain areas that are more, the current's stronger. And if you hit that just right, then bye-bye.
Yeah, we just had a girl from Brush pass away. It's been about a year ago.
Oh.
She went under and never came back up.
The one in Fort Morgan. Yes, I do remember that. Super sad.
Super scary, you know what I mean?
Super scary.
Who hasn't been down that river on a inner tube with a beer in their hand?
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, it's the most relaxing day of all time. So
yeah.
And accidentally delivered a baby, so that really happened.
Yeah, that really happened.
That's amazing.
Really did deliver a baby.
And you don't remember the name or anything, huh?
No, because like for the longest time it didn't like strike me as like a story that was like kind of a cool story, right?
Right.
And then the more you think about it, it was like,
who does that?
Yeah,
that is a great story.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like, wait a minute.
I think it's weird. Not weird. I think it's kind of sucks that you don't know the people. You know what I mean? You can't see the kid now. Like Crystal Dussault, Crystal.
Sure.
She was there when Tishy delivered Jenna.
Oh,
so her and Jenna seem to have some kind of special bond. You know what I mean? She just loves Jenna. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, it's her niece anyway, but I mean, she saw her being born. So for her, that's a very special.
It's cool. Yeah.
It's a special bond they have. So,
Right. Yeah.
Me, I wouldn't want to be.
Maybe it's just more dramatic. I don't know.
Were you there? Were you there when the kids were born? I remember when Harley was born, you were in a Budweiser truck, and Ben Baker had to run you over there in the Budweiser truck and drop you off.
We were just getting ready to turn to pull into Village Liquor, and my wife called me and said that her water had broke. And so I started pointing. I'm like, go that way, dude, that way. He's like, what? I go, we're having a baby. Go that way.
Right.
And then he's driving down the street because it's a residential area and we're in a beer truck. And he told me, he goes, if I get in trouble for this, I'm going to tell him that you made me come over here. I'm like,
did you look like Dad of the Year showing up to the hospital in a beer truck?
No.
Hey, where's my kid?
I was like 3 blocks from my house. So he just took me and dropped me off at the
It'd have been cooler if you showed up in the beer truck.
It would have been cooler, you know.
That truck was still rolling when I bailed out of it.
It'd been cooler if he'd driving the beer truck and just parked that son of a bitch right in the parking lot.
Yeah.
Just left it running.
Throw the bay door open and get my wife out.
Yeah.
Walk into the receptionist.
Beers for everybody.
Throw her the keys and be like, keep it close.
I got to run the finish.
Yeah.
Where's my bitch?
For sure.
Yeah.
Dencia, those were great stories.
Thanks, guys.
You did awesome.
This was fun. Thanks for having me.
You said you were nervous too, like everybody else does.
I was nervous just because, like, I actually didn't realize everybody had kind of like told somebody else's story. I thought most people kind of made them up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure the details were right in the lie. So
Brett McRae, he wrote his completely, and then I can't. There was somebody else. There was one other person that was complete. He completely wrote it.
I don't think it was.
There was somebody that completely fabricated a story. Mm-hmm. It was just Brett.
Because Sean's, it was a true story, but he changed
the ending,
the way it ended.
Matt's was borrowed. Finley's was well, kind of made up.
He changed some stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of a true story. Yeah, maybe so, Dencia. Look at you, the badass.
Going on my own, going solo here, guys. I'm a good bullshitter.
Yes, you are. Before we get going and all the good stuff to the next episode, one more time, where can they find your radio?
Yes, rental? Radio Rental. It is season 2. Episode 11, While You Were Sleeping.
Yeah, and just download that. It's a great podcast.
It's fun.
Anyway,
yeah,
it's
it is a fun one.
I listened to yours, and then I went back and listened to all the other ones.
Right.
Did you know what other one I like is episode 4, Laura of the Woods?
That one was creepy.
Super creepy. Super creepy.
I figured out what was going on.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, my mind was blown.
The one that freaked me out the most is the girl with the serial killer in the window. Can I talk to you?
So creepy.
That was weird, man. That one I was
so creepy. Yeah.
Poppy no like.
Like when the guy goes home with the girl from the bar.
Yeah.
And she
that one was kind of weird too.
Nighttime Larry, be careful. Girls want to kill you.
No, I mean
he has a girlfriend now.
Yeah. So one in particular wants to kill me. Yes, that's true. So
phew, you made it out.
I made it out. So anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you,
coming
friends.
on.
It was good. It was fun.
I'm Moose Lundstrom.
I'm Adam Boki.
Hey, stick around and check out our new storyteller. We have 3 stories coming up for you next. Peace. All right, guys. Well, thank you for sticking around for our next guest. Welcome back to the Bullhucker. We just got done with the Dencia Kudron reveal. I'd like to say I got it right. I'm catching up. Adam's only like 5 ahead of me now. It's not.
Wow.
I'm within striking
I've
distance.
missed 3. She was messing with me. I'd look at her, and I'd start talking. She kept winking at me. She's like getting in my head. I'm like, is that a wink because I'm wrong or a wink because I'm right?
We have John Beltran with us today. What's going on, John?
Well, I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to this. And when you have 3 good stories to tell on every podcast, and if you have solid content and you have a good storyteller, it's tough to decipher which one of the 3 is not true.
Although no winking at
No
no,
winking
there's not going to be. I'm not a good winker anyway. You know, yeah. Some people. My favorite wink of all time. Okay, I watch a lot of movies. I've watched like 100 movies this year. I'm trying to catch up because I didn't watch movies for a long time just because I wasn't in that mode or mood.
Right.
My favorite wink of all time, which is a weird subject to talk about, just to start off the podcast, was in Mrs. Doubtfire when they're at the bar by the pool. They're at the bar by the pool
with Bronson.
Right. Well, no, he's not there yet. He's about to order his lemonades, but he's not there yet. And there's this beautiful blonde girl in a bikini, and he's already ordered a beer, or she, whatever you want to call Robin Williams' character, Mrs. Doubtfire, and all of a sudden she orders some drinks, and he gives that like half wink, right? It's almost like a twitch. It was a twitch. And she said, no thanks. And that was about it.
Right.
Again, I don't know why I just thought of that because, like I said, I'm not a winker. I just noticed a good wink, or at least a comedic one.
I'm going to tell you right now, John, this podcast gets filled with movie references, just so you know. I don't know.
Half of which I don't know because I'm
we-
like you. I don't watch a whole lot of movies, so I need to
do.
catch up. I'm getting a list together of what I have to watch.
Well, and the ones that I've been watching this year, fresh movies, are all Best Picture nominees. Just I figure, okay, if they were Best Picture nominees, I'm going to watch them. All the way from like 1970 to 2020. Like I watched Joker, I watched Ford v. Ferrari. Not that I'm a good movie critic. Obviously, my favorite movies, and this is not because you gentlemen are here, are comedies.
Right.
I love comedies. I couldn't even put together a top 20 list. It'd be at least top 50.
Right.
All right. And I'm not even sure which is number one. I like all the American Pies. I like to Meet the Parents. The Hangover. I mean, there's so many.
Right.
There's so many. I could just keep going on and on and on, and I would never settle in on a number one. There's too many number ones for me.
So I'm going to take you back a notch. What did you think about the Joker movie?
Let me tell you, it was very – Joaquin Phoenix, first of all, is a phenomenal actor.
Yes, he is.
I thought he could not do anything better than his performance in Walk the Line in 2005, I think it was, with Reese Witherspoon.
Right.
I mean, he was a master in that
He was
movie,
amazing.
too. Very dark. And there was a very dark scene where he kills Robert De Niro's character,
Right.
who's a talk show host.
Right.
And that's the only spoiler alert. But other than that, I mean, the guy was just incredible. Played Arthur, I think, was his character in that movie. But,
Right.
man, who else can play that role as well as he did? But there might be one or two others out there, but Joaquin Phoenix is a very good, sneaky, underrated actor.
I think you might have just fired off shots for who plays the Joker better, by the way. I'm just going to say we're going to get phone calls.
Don't call me. I haven't seen it. So
Right.
But you were saying, and that's what you and I have had a lot of conversations about, is comedy. You're a big comedy fan.
Oh, yeah.
Stand-up comedy in particular. So
Well, I was in the insurance business for, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, maybe a little bit more than that.
Right.
And one of the ladies who worked with me in medical malpractice insurance, which we called medical professional liability, insuring doctors, her name is Monique Marvez, who's been a professional comic since 1989. She's got thousands of subscribers on YouTube, and she's played all over the country, Montreal Comedy Festival. She's
Very
performed,
nice.
I should say, and she's really funny. So I got my comedy fix just going to comedy clubs all the time in Miami. She was playing in Miami Beach, at Uncle Funny's in West Kendall in Miami, at a bunch of clubs, even in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, she started off there in South Florida, and I mean, that kind of is what really got me going to actual comedy clubs. And, of course, I've been Louisiana and here as well. Right. She just played at Looney's in Colorado Springs. I didn't get to see her when they reopened Looney's in Colorado Springs in late July, so that's the last time she was here. But she drives all over the country. She's flown before, obviously, but she drives all over the country, especially when some of her acts are regionalized. You go from Colorado to California to Oregon, things like that,
Right.
and she will drive. But anyway, her career started, and I remember, boy, she really struggled at first because just because you're funny, it doesn't mean you can perform in front of an audience. I mean, you need the whole
Right.
body language, and I mean, you guys are experts at it now, but when she started off in '89 in her infancy, there were struggles there for the first few performances until she got comfortable being on stage. Her material was always great.
Right.
And sometimes I was the butt of the jokes, or I would bring somebody with me. I remember one time, went to a comedy club and went with my buddies, George and PJ. My buddies George and PJ were with me.
Okay.
So she had never met them. So she said, hey, John, good to see you. So what's your name? George. And then said, hey, how about you? PJ. So, George, tell me, what do you do besides PJ? So it was, I mean, and just kept going on and on. I mean, it's one of those, I'll pick on some of the members of the audience, but
Right.
with always her own material as well.
I think everybody struggles with comedy when they first start. I think every major comic has struggled with comedy. The problem is, I think you're funny, but you know to be funny to your friends. You're funny to people you already know, so it's easy to be
Right.
funny then because you know what they think is funny. You already know what they like. You know what I mean? So it's not until you get in front of a room full of strangers, diverse room of strangers, that's when it becomes tough. You know, because then you got to try and hit a little bit right, a little bit
Right.
of everything everywhere.
I heard a professional comic. Can't remember who it was, but they made the comment. It was like at like at a show or something. It might have been like on Last Comic Standing, that type of thing. They said there's a difference between saying funny things and saying things funny.
Right.
Which is exactly right. I mean,
who is that? It sounds familiar now.
I can't remember who it was.
Is that Ralphie May?
No. I want to say it was Jeff Foxworthy, but I don't think that's right. I don't know. But yeah, that's just always stuck with me.
The comedians that amaze me are the ones that don't have to be profane. I think, you got to slip in. A lot of them have to slip in an F-bomb or something once in a while. But a Jerry Seinfeld and Ellen DeGeneres, I mean, there's very few out there that I've ever heard. I mean, normally all these guys, it could be a Chris Rock, could have been an Eddie Murphy, it could have been, I think his name is Bill Engvall. I mean, a number of these guys, they'll slip in some language, which is fine. It doesn't offend me. I think too much language doesn't make it fun anymore. Now you're just dropping 1 ounce of your vocabulary and just throwing that in repeatedly. That doesn't make it funny. But if you can be clean and funny, man, that's a skill.
Yeah, shock comedy's not great. You know what I mean? If you're just saying stuff to shock the audience where they're nervous laughing, that's not really comedy.
Yeah.
But some of the funniest ones are completely clean, and then you write your own ticket if you can do that,
I will say this too. What I love a good impressionist. The one thing that I love about political season, I don't like talking politics at all. Okay, I hate it. However, political satire, you got Daryl Hammond, who's impersonated Bill Clinton or George Bush, any of these guys, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman when he was alive, all these people that impersonate, and it doesn't have to be, Alec Baldwin obviously with Donald Trump, it doesn't have to be just politics. If you're just a good impressionist, I think that's an incredible talent. Obviously, the dean of that to me, there's nobody who has more diverse talent for impersonating than Frank Caliendo.
That's what I was just going to say.
Anybody. He is number one. He's the Michael Jordan of impersonators.
You know what sucks for him, though, is I think his best impression is now becoming so dated people don't know it. It's the Madden impression.
Yeah, John Madden.
It's great.
John Madden is
it's terrific. But in sports, I mean, he's got a great Charles Barkley.
Right.
His Charles Barkley's tremendous. That might be his number 2 because he scaled out all over now. He's just not in doing sports. He was doing a lot of but his impressions are incredible. Right. He did have a show on TBS that flopped completely. It was like I don't know what it was called. It was terrible.
I remember that.
It was terrible. It was like 10, 12 years ago.
Right.
And it was on late night. They gave him a crappy shift to see if it would catch on, and it didn't.
Right.
And it was canceled less than a year. So, I mean, you can have your own show, but it doesn't mean that's going to succeed. But in terms of having him as a guest, I'll tell you the one he does great. I don't know if you guys know Bill Walton. Bill Walton, NBA guy, former NBA guy.
Yeah.
His Bill Walton is just because he's got one of those draws that is incredible.
Right.
Oh, the Sonora Desert here in Phoenix. It's one of the beautiful sights here, Frank. So he's got one of those that's awesome. Bill Walton, I could listen to that impression on a loop.
I was listening to him on a radio interview one day, and there was the people that were interviewing him. He started impersonating one of them, and you couldn't tell the difference between him and the guy that was interviewing him because he was doing, and it was incredible.
Well, Phil Hendry? Phil Hendry's a guy. Look up Phil Hendry.
You told me about Phil Hendry.
Phil Hendry's a guy. He had a show on WIOD in Miami for years. It was a local show, and then he became known nationally. He takes his own calls, and he's the caller and the interviewer. It's an amazing skill. Wow. He knows how to interrupt himself with a separate voice. Phil Hendry, Hendrie. And I've never heard anybody like him. So it's not like he impersonates people we know. He just does his own show. It's like if we took calls now, and he was the caller, and he was also the host.
If you listen to the Chris Titus podcast, he doesn't do it now, but he has Jello Shot Willie. And for the first, 4 years, nobody knew it was him. He would do his own Jello Shot Willie. It was an African-American man,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From the ghetto who was trying to sell breast milk. That was his job.
Right.
He sold under the black market breast milk. And it wasn't until 4 years where Chris Titus and his wife come out and say, I'm Willie. You know what I mean? And I was like, mine was blown, man, because you couldn't even tell. I was like, oh, my God. It was almost depressing because this Willie person doesn't really exist, and you find out, And one other thing, I'll send you the video if I'll find it. I wish I could give the guy credit. It was a guy who does impressions of most black comedians. And he does an impression of what happened if, what's his name from? He's in everything. He's in Training Day.
Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington, thank you. Chris Rock and Bernie Mac all owned a restaurant. It was, and Morgan Freeman is a customer. He does this impression, and it is so spot on with every one. It's fantastic. I'll find it and send it to you. You'll truly enjoy it. So So I forgot to mention, John is a radio guy here local. So we've been hitting up the local radio stations to get all these guys, the talent out here, because they know how to tell a story usually.
Well, I moved here in 1998, and I was born in Atlanta, raised in Miami. Then I got out of insurance. Like I said, I was in it for 10 years and decided that's it. I want to go into broadcasting. The only compliment I ever got, obviously not on my looks, was that I had a pretty decent voice. So try radio, and I always wanted to do sports play-by-play. So then I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I'd already gone there in 88. But I went back to that school just to find jobs. They had job openings because the internet was very young in the mid-'90s. And I found a job in Eunice, Louisiana, which was great for me because I was already familiar with Louisiana, having gone to school in New Orleans for 4.5 years.
Right.
So I got a job in Southwest Louisiana, lasted there for 15 months because it was an entry-level job. I said I'd give them a 1-year commitment. And then left in April of 98, went back to Miami, had a long-distance relationship with my now wife, Amy. And then I found this job on the internet because the internet was only like 3-4 years old back in 1998. But we had some young bosses that posted a job on the internet, came out here. I figured, oh, geez, I don't know if I want to live in the mountains, having no idea what Northeast Colorado looked like. I mean, my whole life had been in Louisiana, Florida, and in Georgia. I came out here, loved it instantly. I said, an hour from Denver, and I built a whole life here, 22 years, 2 kids, got married in 2000 in Miami. My wife already had a child from a previous marriage, and who's now my 27-year-old daughter. So, and now I got a senior in high school, and it's worked out. I mean, it's worked out here. And
awesome.
Here's the thing. For the first 31 years, I lived in major cities, Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans. I didn't realize, not that I didn't love those cities, but I didn't realize I was a small-town kid till I got to the small town of Eunice and then subsequently Fort Morgan/Brush.
Right.
Because, you know what? I mean, I'm older than you guys, but you get to an age, and I started getting old young because I was losing hair in New Orleans.
Hey, Adam, take off your hat. I mean, come on.
I know.
About like you,
I
man.
just wanted peace. I wanted tranquility.
Right.
I got so much partying in by the age of 21. I said, man, I can't keep up with this lifestyle. I'm not going to make it.
Right.
I'm not going to make it. I need to calm down.
Right.
Which is why the stories I have, they're all from the late 80s.
I love it.
When I'm still in my early 20s. I mean, I have stories since then, but I figured let me go back in time when it seemed there was a story or at least a moment every single night that I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to remember this for the rest of my life. And that's where I'm at now, 35 years later, after those New Orleans days. And the only thing I know for sure is that every hair I had is probably on Bourbon Street right now, because that place will poison you. New Orleans is great, but it will poison you, man.
I got to check out Mardi Gras when Tim lived in Lake Charles, Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
And we drove down to Mardi Gras for 2 nights, and it was insane. It's amazing. You ever been, Adam?
Nope, never have. I'd like to go.
It's crazy. It was Patty O'Brien's.
Pat O'Brien's is on St. Peter's. Yeah, it's downtown New Orleans. Yeah, it's in the French Quarter.
Don't ever drink a hurricane from Patty O'Brien's.
You've told me that several times.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to when I get there.
Don't do it, man.
Of the one place, from what I understand, this was as of a few years ago, from the one place that sells one drink more than any other establishment in the United States, it's the Hurricane at Pat O'Brien's. More than any other drink at any other bar, and I believe it because the place is packed there. I mean,
they have a to-go window. You just order.
They do have a to-go window.
Yeah.
Yes, they have a to-go window. And in fact, I remember that when I graduated college and then I came back to Eunice, Louisiana, one of the places I used to go to was the Daiquiri Shack. Open 5 p.m. until there was no closing time. So when I get out of work, 4:30, 5 o'clock on a Thursday or Friday, if I didn't have football or basketball that night, and these ladies from Time Warner Cable were across the street from the radio station, they would order their drinks, and I'd go through the takeout window. I mean, can you imagine like you're at a fast food restaurant? Yeah, let me get 2 margaritas, a rum and Coke, and everything's in a styrofoam cup, and then you can just pour it into a glass or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah, but okay, I'll have 2 margaritas. I didn't think this could exist. I'm in my early 30s in 1997, just ordering drinks, going through a drive-thru. Thank you. They give it like a takeout, like you're ordering, large drinks or Slurpees or something, and then take it back to Time Warner. Hey, here's your drinks. And they would always pour it in a glass because it tasted better in a glass than in a styrofoam cup. We do that all the time.
When I went with Tim and Crystal, his wife's great. Crystal's awesome. She drinks like a frat boy. You know what I mean? She's not afraid. And we got a few of those. Well, first we've been drinking because it's Mardi Gras, right? So there's a beer stand every 5 feet, you know. And so we're drinking the Tall Boys, and we hit that Patty O'Brien's, and we want to check it out. So we all get the big one, and they're big, they're massive.
They're huge.
You know?
They're huge.
And I suck mine down. and I see Crystal pouring hers out because it's too much for Crystal, which is where my brain should have been like the red flag.
Exactly. Red flag.
So I tell her, what are you doing? Pour it in Daddy's cup. Daddy's not afraid. Daddy passed out an hour and a half later. They had to drag me back to the hotel. And they couldn't get the door closed or locked, so Tim just kind of like jimmied to open, like just left me in there.
Right.
And then Chris was like, "What happens to Larry? Like, what, is someone gonna rape Larry? Look at him, he's a gorilla." You know what I'm saying? He wishes, you know. So those Patty O'Briens, they're horrible. No, they're delicious. Don't get me wrong.
Right. No, I know.
But they will punch
bad
you.
news. Huh?
Oh my
well,
God.
hence the name Hurricane. There's a reason it's called Hurricane.
Yes.
You know, which is a red drink.
Right.
I can't describe all the ingredients in there, but
gasoline,
it's been a while since I've had it.
Devil's urine. I mean,
there's
many things.
Yeah, there is something lethal,
right,
or potentially lethal in the Hurricane. But it's a great drink, and like I said, there are these tall, like almost hour-shaped glasses or something.
Yeah, they're hurricane glass. It's called a hurricane glass.
Right, it's a hurricane glass. Yeah. That's You just don't drink that out of a regular glass.
Real quick story is, and I didn't realize this existed until I went to New Orleans. Because I had woke up early that morning to go get some grease in my system because that's how I handle hangovers. I hit the nearest fast food place, and I tell them, just dip my burger in the fryer because I need to get over this. And I was walking in front of a hotel, and there was two guys out there, and just like Boomhauer off King of the Hill, that actually exists. Come on down there, you won't need no money. Down there, and they were talking to each other, and I sat there staring at them like an idiot, like, this is amazing. Like, if I had my phone, I'd have recorded it. You know, like, I can't believe that actually exists. Boomhauer actually exists. He's based off an actual human being. Like the coach off The Waterboy.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking about.
So that was my New Orleans experience. It was a good time. I highly recommend anybody to go check it out. It's something you should absolutely do in your life.
But I'll say this. Even if you're not there during Mardi Gras, you have a great time.
Oh,
really?
Really?
Because at this point, I mean, I don't want to go to a Mardi Gras ever again. It's been too many. I've been to New Orleans Mardi Gras and non-New Orleans Mardi Gras, which are still in Louisiana, because Mardi Gras is really celebrated in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, all there on those states, those bordering states as well. So there's Mardi Gras everywhere, but the actual carnival, of course, is in New Orleans. But you said Lake Charles, they got a great Mardi Gras. So you're going to get the experience. But if you miss Mardi Gras, those people party 24/7, 365 a year. They live to eat. They live to listen to great music. They live for a lot of things that sometimes we should live more for here because we're so preoccupied with our schedules. And there, they just keep going. And I don't know how they do it. You know, there's cardiac Cajuns over there. They're insane, but they're fun.
The cardiac Cajuns. It's when you go there, they have the beads and everybody's showing. You know what I mean? Everybody's flashing everybody. You know, and there were girls throwing beads off the balcony. I didn't realize, girls show boobs, guys show down below, right? So
well, first of all, the down below is supposed to be illegal.
Well,
just watch any episode of Cops at Mardi Gras.
Right,
but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
These girls pointed, and I kind of told them no, and they gave me the little, like, that look like, and I was like, yeah, so they threw me the beads anyway, out of sympathy, I think. I have pity beads at my house, you know what I mean? So
I will never forget freshman year. This is not one of the stories, obviously. 1984, first night of Mardi Gras. We're in downtown New Orleans, and they throw the beads. A lot of them are from the balcony, and girls will do this. They say, hey, come on, throw the beads, throw the beads. All of a sudden, guys are just chucking beads up there because that's what leads to the reveal, so to speak, of the upper body. We'll just put it that way.
Right.
All of a sudden, bunch of beads. Here comes the unveiling, and all you see is white. I've never seen so much flash photography in my life, which doesn't exist. Just flash. I mean, it was like the paparazzi was out there before the paparazzi was even an industry.
John had 3 seizures on the way there.
Pretty much that night, and I was only 18 years old. But what an experience! I'll never forget that, man. It's like it happened yesterday.
It's like a way more laid back Vegas. So one of these days we'll.
And I've never been to Vegas, believe it or not.
Oh, really?
I know. I've never been to Vegas, which is a crime.
Oh, John.
I mean, just to go for 2-3 nights. That's all I need.
That's all you. Anybody. Ever
Right.
goes to Vegas.
Yeah, my wife lived there for a while, and I still have not been to Vegas.
Really.
But yeah, I don't even want to think about that because based on the stories that I've heard from my close friends who've been to Vegas, not that they were lucky to make it out of there alive, but they were towing the line.
Oh yeah.
was some of the fun that they had. Plus, like I said, I mean, my experience in Vegas was through the movie Hangover, which might have been an extreme, but it was funny as heck.
It was an extreme, but it's you can get in some trouble. So, but what we came here for, if you're new to the Bullhucker, is we have a guest, Mr. John Beltran, on with us. John's brought us 3 stories of his life. Now, the kicker is only 2 of these stories are true. One is what we call the Bullhucker. It's a lie, a fib. It's not real. I'm going to ask you this, John. The one that isn't real, is it completely made up, or did you borrow the story from somebody else?
Oh, no, it's completely made up.
Okay, so this is total fiction on John Beltran.
Total fiction. All 3 stories, New Orleans-based, Mardi Gras-based. Okay, so I'm taking you back to like 1987 for all 3 stories.
Okay.
So, and one of these is a fib.
Okay, so who picked? Did you pick first, Dencia, or did I?
I can't remember.
I think you picked first, Dencia. Go ahead, man. You picked the first one.
I'm going to go with the Magic Maker.
Okay, it's the Magic Marker. I might have written that wrong. Did I write that wrong? I
don't know.
Yeah, it's the Magic Marker. Okay, Magic Marker. Anyway,
okay.
All right, here's, this was like a Saturday night, 1987 Mardi Gras. I'll never forget this thing. We leave, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock. There's a bunch of us because I got friends in from Gainesville, went to school, University of Florida. My buddy Rock Mathis is in from Houston. He played football at Rice University. So we're going out, and we're headed to downtown New Orleans to the French Quarter, but you can't go all the way on the streetcar. Normally you can go all the way, but there are parade routes. During Mardi Gras, there's parades, so you can only go a certain way. So my buddy Yale Fishman, who was going to the University of Florida, is one of the most disgusting individuals I've ever met in my life. I mean, really disgusting. We get to as far as we can go on the streetcar, and we're about to walk the rest of the way to get to the French Quarter, and he says, I got to go to the bathroom. I said, we'll find a bar. He said, no, I got to do number 2. I said, what are you going to do at number 2? And we lose him for like 10 minutes while we're sitting there at Lee Circle. Lee Circle's a spot near downtown New Orleans. So he comes back, and we just keep going. I don't know what. We know what a number 2 is. So we keep going. We get to the quarter. We all disperse. I mean, we're probably talking 9, 10 o'clock at night. And again, I was already getting old when I was young. So I go back to my place at 5922 Pitt, near the campus I went to Loyola, New Orleans, probably about 4:35 in the morning. Nobody went back with me. Slowly, all my buddies who are staying with me get back to the apartment, but my buddy Yale and my buddy Rock, they wanted to keep partying. So it's about 7:15, 7:30 in the morning, and they're just looking for anything that's about to open. All the bars are closed. So they go up against a brick wall. K&B is the name of a store. It's like you've had a 7-Eleven, but it's a K&B. It's like a junior version. They've got a pharmacy in there. They got beer. So, but it doesn't open till 8 o'clock. So they're rested up against a brick wall. So it's 8 o'clock, and they're both, Rock was still passed out up against the brick wall. Yale was just getting up. So Yale goes in. Yale goes into the store. He buys a black magic marker, comes out, and while Rock is all passed out, he's got a big forehead. He's got all his hair, So he's writing a big D, a big I, a big C, and a big K on his forehead with a racing stripe down his nose and a goatee. And then he wakes up Rock and goes back in, said, hey, let's go buy some beer. He's got dick written all over his forehead. So they go in, they buy beer, and you really can't drink outside the place. You got to put it in in some sort of bag.
Okay.
And they're walking, and my place is probably 1.5 miles away because I didn't live close to a store or anything like that. I live closer to campus. So my place is 1.5 miles away, and they tried to hitch a ride just to get to my place, but there's no way they're going to hitch a ride when this guy, according to Yale, because I wasn't there for that, according to Yale, had D-I-C-K written on his forehead with a racing stripe and the goatee. So they finally make it to my place, like at 8:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden my buddy Roland starts screaming and yelling. So what the hell's going on? He wakes up everybody in the house. There's like 7 or 8 people in the apartment, and he looks in the mirror, and he's got the big D-I-C-K on his forehead.
Right.
And that's essentially the magic marker story. I said, Rock, keep that on your face till you have to go back to Houston. And he said, no. I said, you guys are idiots. He used stronger language than that, and we left it at that. But that was the night of the magic marker, having no idea that Yale, who's capable of doing anything would do something like that. It didn't lead to anything greater than that, other than the fact that they tried to hitch a ride for 1.5 miles and they couldn't, because every time he passed by, he's like that with his thumb out, and it says the big D-I-C-K on his forehead. So that's the magic marker story.
It's even worse than a swastika painted on your head. Right?
More than likely.
Yeah. All right. What do you think?
Can
you hear
I don't know.
Can't
Maybe.
hear?
You have friends named Rock and Yale. I'm not real sure about that part.
Yeah. Well, we grew up in the same neighborhood. Rock did with me. Yale lived a little bit further away. Okay. And I've known them since, 82, 83. And Rock's in 79 and Yale maybe 1980. Okay. We went to school in Miami, obviously.
Nice.
Rock and Yale.
And Yale.
Well, those are just a couple of my buddies. I mean, there's others that, especially my buddy Jay, even more, not as grotesque as Yale, but in the same realm. He went to this is not part of the story, but he went to an entire Mardi Gras for a week with no other clothing, no toothbrush. He said, I had a big surprise when I see you. When we met in Pensacola on our way to New Orleans, and he showed up at the neutral site where we were going to meet before we kept on going to New Orleans. I said, yeah, okay, don't tell me. Give me your luggage first. I said, that's the surprise. I have no luggage. Now you're officially disgusting. No toothbrush, nothing. Nothing to wear. He was going to wear the same clothes, which he did 7 days in a row.
Buddy, you use mouthwash, Everclear for mouthwash. I mean, there's ways around it, John.
No. Oh, absolutely. But right. I mean, we're guys, right? I mean, we don't care. We can live barbarically.
Right.
I mean, I lived very primitively when I was in both New Orleans and in Eunice, Louisiana.
But growing up as a dude, that's when it's time to clean it up. When one of your guy friends is like, dude, I love you, bro. When you get that talk, like, you smell.
Well, by the fourth night, he was wearing this white T-shirt, the same white T-shirt he wore, and he smelled so bad, we had to get away from him. So he decided to take the T-shirt and then soak it in soap, and let it dry overnight. So he slept half naked, right. And then he wore it the next morning. So at least he smelled, but he would not take a shower. He said, no, that's breaking the rules. I can wash what I have, but I cannot wash my body. So he didn't wash his body.
If you just leave the soap in the shirt and it rains, you go.
That's a good point. But then again, you're not thinking that rationally when you're in New Orleans.
You ever seen the movie Super Troopers?
I heard about it, believe it or not. That's one of the few comedies I've not seen.
Oh, you're missing out. It should go in your top 50, but how they give Farva a bath. They get the prison shower out with the scrub brushes for cars.
Right.
That's give the guy a prison shower. Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
The names. I'm still keen on those names. We'll see.
I'm keen on another part of that story, but we'll get into that in a minute. So, my turn to pick. I'm going to pick I want Bart.
Okay. Bart's is the name of a bar in Metairie. Metairie to New Orleans is like Arvada to Denver. So it's basically. So this was the first night. This was Thursday night. Only Rock was down for Mardi Gras. Again, I'm pretty sure it was 1987. So I said, listen, man, we're not going to go to downtown. We're not going to go to the French Quarter or anything like that because we've got Friday, we got Saturday, we have Sunday, we have Monday. Remember, we don't have school Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday of that week because Wednesday's Ash Wednesday, also known as Mardi Gras Recovery Day. And I'm not even making that up. They called it Mardi Gras Recovery Day on the academic calendar at Loyola and Tulane. Yes, yeah. So I said, dude, okay. So my buddy Steve Crowley from Boston, he calls, hey, you do anything tonight? I said, I don't know. My buddy Rock is here from Houston. He just drove in. All my other buddies are coming tomorrow from Gainesville, from Miami. And he says, let's go to Bots. So what the hell's Bots? Oh, you mean Bart's, because that Boston accent, B-A-R-T-S. So I've never been there. So we drive out to Bart's in Metairie. And I think this guy from West Palm, Tom Barbara, because we had another guy. Again, the details are sketchy, but I think Tom was with us. So anyway, it was at least 3 or 4 of us, but we know Steve drove because I didn't have a car. My buddy's car was like an AMC Pacer or something like that. He drove in from Houston, so it wasn't big enough. So Steve was the only one who could drive, and it was a big enough car. So we drive out there, and Steve was a little bit of a womanizer. We get there, and we notice, God, this place is huge. The place is huge. Got a nice bar, but back in those days, there were no televisions at these bars. Like these big bars, it was just, sports bars didn't become a thing until probably, maybe mid to late 80s, early 90s, because,
really?
Think about it. Cable cable wasn't. I mean, you had satellite, but cable wasn't a thing till like early to mid '80s. So, but I remember there were no television in this place. I mean, it was like a dance floor, but there were like two sections. There was one section where you could dance. There was another one. There was a bar in the middle, and then all your stools either at the bar or just to sit and have dinner or whatever. And I was a late night eater, so was my buddy Rock. So we decided to, I think we ordered a po' boy or whatever, just something there. Steve just wanted a drink, so he's drinking, but he's got to make his rounds. Steve's got to make his rounds, so we don't see Steve for a while because Rock and I are just there at the bar. He's a newcomer to New Orleans because, so he's not going to really hang out and pick up chicks, not on the first night that he's there. And I've already gone. This was my fourth Mardi Gras already, so I'm already done. I mean, plus I still have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 2 hours later, it must have been 2 to 3 hours later, and thank God. And the reason I agreed to go to Bart's on a Thursday night is because, first of all, my classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday were not till like 1:32. I always took late classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday because you could take 3 50-minute classes or 2 75-minute classes on Tuesday and Thursday. It says, no, I can go out till whatever. But I didn't want to be out till 5 or 6 in the morning, and this place closed at, I'm guessing, 1 or 2 o'clock. So it's 2.5 hours later. He was with us for like the first 30 to 45 minutes. He comes back, and he's just holding this girl's hand. I said, well, okay, I don't know what happened here, right? So,
like they're walking like that?
Well, as he's approaching, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they kissed. I don't know what it was.
Holding her hand.
Just holding her hand.
I thought you said holding her hair at first.
No, her hand. I might, if I said hair, maybe I said hair and I meant hand.
Oh, I
okay.
thought
I might have said it wrong because maybe
caveman or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I found one.
No. Okay.
I done clubbed her.
By the way, I did have hair back then, but not much. Anyway, holding her hand, and my bad if I said it incorrectly. And the only reason I remember her name is because she went to Tulane and her name was Tammy. So Tammy from Tulane. And we're going to give her a ride because her friends had already ditched her because she'd been with Steve, I guess, for an hour and a half or something. They met, they were talking, and we get in the car, and he's going to take us. He's going to take us to the apartment, to my apartment. Again, I was living on Pitt Street, and all of a sudden, because I'd already introduced myself to her, she says, hey, are you any of the same classes with Harris? And I didn't even get to answer. He said, no, John and I, John's like a business major and I'm an accounting major. So we keep talking. I don't even remember the rest of the conversation. I do remember making reference to the fact that knowing his name was Steve, but she called him Harris. So why the hell does she think this guy's name is Harris? Right. So anyway, she drops us off at the apartment, at my apartment on Pitt Street, and then he lived by himself. So I guess he went back to his own place, maybe with her. I don't know what happened. Okay, I didn't want to know what happened. I mean, sometimes that's good guy conversation. But anyway, I call him the next day. I said, no, actually, he called me. He called me because I figured he could have had a later night than I did. So he calls me. And I said, dude, what's the story with this Harris business? I said, dude, let me tell you. First of all, she goes to school at Tulane. I might not see her again. I don't want her to know my real name in case we meet and she turns out to be a psychopath. I said, why Harris? It's the first thing that came to my mind because the movie, he told me the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off came out a year earlier, like the summer of '86 or something. So he didn't want to, I mean, Ferris would seem pretty obvious that he was lying. So he just came up with Harris. And that's the story. I don't know if he ever saw that girl again, but he went by Harris and said, what the hell, dude, your name is Steve. So anyway, that's the story behind Bart's. That whole activity started at Bart's, carried on through the car, and then he explained it why. And obviously it was key that when he interrupted me, when she asked me if I was any of the same classes with Steve at Loyola and referred to him as Harris, and he didn't even let me answer. He just jumped in and said, no, John and I are different majors. I said, okay, he's trying to give me a clue here. But that he doesn't want to be known as Steve. He's
Harris is being tricky again. Harris, you're acting so weird today.
Right, yeah. Right. I did make reference to it a couple of other times. I don't remember what I said to her, in the conversation after that, because it just turns into a normal car conversation.
Right.
Plus, we're talking to my buddy Rock, and like I said, it's the one thing I don't remember is if Tom was in the car with us, if he went with us, because he was another guy. He was this Roman-looking guy. He liked to go out, but he'd always find his way home, even if it wasn't with us. But I told Steve, I said, hey, no. My buddy just got in from Houston. There's no way in hell that we're going to find a ride home. Okay, we don't have the access to a streetcar. So he knew that no matter who he picked up at the bar that night, we were going to go with him, whether he picked up anybody or not, which he ended up doing. So I don't know if it's picking up or just meeting.
When I was in 8th grade, this girl moved here. We became good friends. I had the biggest crush on her, and I hate the name Larry. I thought Larry was the dumbest name ever, you know. So I tell her my name is Fred, and all over my yearbook in high school, it's Fred. My name is Fred, and everybody refers to me as Fred. And it didn't occur to me that there's I don't know, it's here in Brush. There's 95 kids in our class, you know what I mean? And 93 of them know that I'm not Fred, you know?
Right.
So when she was talking about Fred, and they're like, who's Fred? And she's like Larry Lundstrom? She's like, no, Fred. And I don't know why, in my head, I thought, Fred gets action. Fred gets the girls. And I don't mean to talk shit right now, but I've never met a Fred in my life that I'd back that up, okay? So anyway, all through high school, she called me Fred all through high school. In my high school yearbook, it's all Fred.
Right.
So if anybody asks, why does it say Fred in your yearbook? Because my name was Fred for the longest time. So,
well, you know that my favorite team in any sport, because I was born in Atlanta, is the Braves. Okay. And their Hall of Fame third baseman who retired in 2012 is Chipper Jones. His name is Larry. Chipper, but he's always been known as Chipper Jones. So Chipper Jones now works for ESPN, and he was working a game with John Shambi, and I forgot the other guy, Rick Sutcliffe. It was a Mets-Braves game, and they got Mike Piazza, Hall of Fame catcher for the Mets, on at the same time, and it says, hey, so how you doing, Larry? He kept calling him Larry the whole time during this interaction, knowing that it's his real name,
right.
But everybody called him Chipper throughout the course of his career because that's the name he went by in high school and all the way to the majors.
Chipper Jones is a big deal in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Chipper was the man. Yeah,
I don't know baseball at all.
Yeah, Braves third baseman. I mean, you think of all-time Atlanta Braves, top 10. I mean, Hank Aaron is probably number one. You know, Hank Aaron, and then they had some great pitchers, but Chipper Jones. But his real name his birth name is Larry Jones.
Poor bastard. So I don't know baseball at all. I know the big names. That's it. Football and basketball all day long. I don't know baseball. My girlfriend, I went back with her to Oklahoma and met her dad. He was actually the head of security for the Atlanta Braves for years back in Atlanta.
Wow.
And he's got a bunch of autographed stuff. And he's like, this is from Chipper Jones. And I go, that's awesome. And I'm thinking, I bet that's a baseball player. I have no idea.
And a good one, yeah.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
He was just throwing out names of baseball players. And I'm like, I kept thinking, I wish he played for the Falcons, man. Or, that I know who you're talking about, But yeah, he's got a bunch of cool stuff in the Braves.
Think probably, if I had to think, in the sports world, the most famous Larrys, there's a receiver for the Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald, who's great.
Bird.
And Larry Bird in basketball. And the Miami Dolphins had a fullback who's now a Hall of Famer named Larry Zonka. Yeah. So those are probably, just top
Larry Walker.
How can I forget him? Yeah, Larry Walker. The only Rocky's a Hall of Famer. So, okay, so, those guys have been successful. You figured.
Yeah, but the rest of those Larrys all suck. Let's be honest, okay? We're not a great group, you know what I mean? And so name another great Larry.
But the funny thing, so you're saying, but it doesn't apply to things that rhyme with Larry, like Barry and Gary. Like, are the rules different just because it's Larry?
I think Gary kind of teeters on being cool. Right. Like teeters more on the not. Berries are always cool. There's berries are right. Jerry, it depends on the guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's true.
But Larry, I've always hated the name Larry. I've always despised it. I had told a story on the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago. My friend C.J. Jones' mom was going to enroll him in school as Turbo. And I remember being so jealous of that, man. Like, I wish my mom was cool. Name me something like Leader 1 or whatever the other GoBots were, But, yeah.
I was the first one in my family born in this country, so I'm John Anthony. My brother, who's 2 years younger than me, is Javier Eduardo. So we call him Javi, Javi, and he hated the name from day one. He hated it. He wanted his name to be Greg. Greg Beltran. Yeah, so anyway, he doesn't like the name Javi. He just celebrated his 53rd birthday yesterday. I think he's finally gotten over it. Yeah. But for a long time he said, I hate Javi. I wish I had your name, John.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted an American name because he was born here. Okay. There's Javi. You got to live with it, bud. What am I going to do? I'm not your mother and father.
One of my best friends in the world named Mac Deal. But when he moved here from Tennessee, he went by his middle name Greg for like the first 2 years. He didn't like the name Mac. And I'm like, why wouldn't you like the name Mac? That's a great name, Who knows?
Well,
but you're sitting at a table with a Larry, Adam, and John. I mean, the most unoriginal,
right? Yeah, no, we're not exactly breaking the book on pioneering names.
Although last podcast, Dencia's grandson, come to find his name Wilder, right?
Right.
I think Wild, but they call him Wild. And I thought his name was Wild, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever, man.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you mentioned Dencia. Speaking of girls, I'd never heard of that name Dencia until I met her when I first got here. That was a new name to me.
And there's two of them, and the other one's named after her, I guess, because how'd it go?
Yeah. So the other one is named after her, and Dencia was named after
a hooker.
Yeah.
It's a true story.
Right. No, that's a great story.
You just saw that on the last episode. So her dad knew a Dencia that was pretty loose and wild with the boys back in the day. And he, Larry, her dad Larry,
right?
Thought
right.
she was okay, so he
Larry
liked
Hall.
the name. Yeah. So, all right. Well, so far, two good stories. We got one left. The shower.
All right. The shower is more of a moment. This was the Friday night version. The shower, or Friday or Saturday night version. Okay, so we were getting ready to go out on, I don't know if, I don't remember if it was a Friday or a Saturday night. I just know the guys had arrived. All of the guys had arrived to New Orleans in my apartment on 5922 Pitt Street. So there's like 4 or 5 towels, 7 guys that got to take a shower. All right, so, and there's no dispensers back then. All right, it's a bar of soap. It's Dove or Ivory, whatever the heck I was buying.
Right.
One guy takes a shower. Another guy takes a shower. I don't remember the order. I mean, come on, this is nothing special. It's a normal activity people do. So then our buddy Yale, again, the most disgusting friend I have, he said, man, we're just waiting 5-10 minutes. I said, Yale's still not out of the shower. I said, what's taking so long? So we're yelling for Yale. Yale, get the heck out of there. We still got guys got to take a shower. So it's in a minute. And I'm already... We're horrified as to what is going on in there. Okay, horrified. So he's done. My buddy Alex walks in. Okay, and I know I'm next in line. That I do remember. I remember that order. So Alex walks in. He's taking a shower, and all of a sudden he starts screaming, and he comes out half naked. I can't take a shower in there. I can't take a shower. I said, why? Well, what happened is that he picked up the bar of soap. Okay, the bar of soap. It was not completely full because it dissipates, obviously, with use. He picked up the bar of soap, and what Yale had done, he took some sort of paring knife, and he carved part of it into a male phallic symbol. So when you gripped it on the bottom, right, you gripped it on the bottom, you know what it felt like. Alex, there's no skin on it. Take the damn shower. I said, no, I need an extra bar of soap. I said, I don't know if I have an extra bar of soap. Okay, you guys, right. And my buddy Alex is the one, I mean, he's the most cleanliness of all. The cleanliness, he would like scrape his skin. He always did that when he was younger. He was just, he had one of these things with hygiene.
Right.
I said, you better take a shower. If not, so he decided not to use the bar of soap. There was not another soap, and he just steamed his whole body. That's all he did.
That's even worse.
He just used hot water, and of course, myself and the rest I said, I don't care. In fact, I actually enjoy this. It's got a good grip. You know how when you're younger, it slips out of your hands, right? It can slip out. I said, this has got a good grip, whatever Yale did. I kind of got the dry version, but he didn't know going in when Alex walked in because it was face down.
Right.
So I used it, and that was it. That was the shower incident, the phallic symbol that Yale, again, I think it was, I don't know what he used. I'm guessing it was a paring knife, but I just noticed when I saw it because he showed it to me, I said, dude, you've outdone yourself to do this in a shower. All right. So in other words, you would think the entertainment with this guy would start once we got out of the town. No, he would use any opportunity, even inside of an apartment, to get ready to go out to try to clown other people. Which he also did for my bachelor party, but that's a separate story. That's not part of this segment.
So eventually when these soap companies watch this episode of the Bullhucker podcast and they invent the Peter grip, Yale gets robbed out of that money. You know what I mean?
Right. Maybe Yale got the idea from the magic marker story.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it's true. I mean, Yale was like that.
And it sounds like you should be happy that Yale was taking a shower at all, right?
No. Yale was... I got married 13 years later after that incident in 2000, and he was late to my bachelor party because his kids were in the bathroom and they were occupying the bathroom, and he was in a shower, and he had an incident in the shower, and it involved his hands. It was very nothing overly grotesque, but just gross. let's put it this way. He wiped himself the old-fashioned way. There was no tissue involved at all. Zero tissue. So he couldn't do it the conventional way. He did it the old-fashioned way. And it's like he had to take 2 showers in one.
Of course.
It was disgusting.
But I mean, sometimes these things happen, bro.
Anytime that somebody takes a shower and the words "mashed it down the drain" are part of that story.
Okay, I didn't follow that part of it. I'd have kicked his ass, man.
No, I said, and this was at the beginning of the night. I mean, we didn't end the night till like 4:30. It was my bachelor party 2 days before I got married in 2000 in Miami. I had left here to go home, obviously to get married, my bachelor party, and subsequently moved my family out here. I was already out here 2 years, a single guy, so I had to get away from Yale.
Does the wife like Yale?
Oh, she loves Yale. She loves Yale.
Now or always?
Oh, always.
Okay.
Great guy. Oh, no, great guy. And she knows, I think she knows all these stories. If she doesn't, she's going to find out once she watches this on YouTube, yeah.
I don't know if you know he's curb stomped a turd down your toe.
No, this was at his house.
Oh,
no. This was, I should have clarified. He
Still
did
not
this.
better. Still
right,
not better,
right.
you know?
Yeah, with his kids right there. But, it was that sliding glass door, how it's kind of like, it's not clear at all.
Right.
So they didn't see that. It's that foggy look.
Looks like
What are you doing? I'm waffle stomping a turd down the drain.
He's doing the Irish jig dance or whatever it is.
No.
Why are you dancing in there, Dad?
Yeah, I mean, this guy had so many disgusting, grotesque stories. I said, "You're not human." He said, "You're right. I'm not human." I said, "That's fine." But it was funny. I mean, somehow it was funny. There's certain guys that could pull that off, and it's not funny, but he had that perfect personality for it.
So, everybody's got that friend, John Beltran.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I've been that friend. So
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. I mean,
I'll give you this, John. I have no idea which one I'd pick. You?
Me neither. I'm at a total loss. This is probably gonna be the hardest one yet.
I'm really hoping I win the paper, rock, scissors, and we're gonna do a little video I'll tell you about later here.
Yeah,
pretty quick.
Well, these all happened in 1987. So the stories are 87 New Orleans Mardi Gras based.
I like it. They're short, sweet, good, but it makes it hard to detect details in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think I know which one I kind of want to pick.
Well, you're ahead of me. I have no clue.
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up here pretty quick.
This is gonna suck.
Before we go, though, I've been thinking about something all the time. I'm gonna hold you to something. We're gonna do a separate podcast, you and I. Okay, you can join if you'd like. We're gonna do our 50 top comedy movies.
Oh yeah, no, I want to do that. I
Okay.
definitely want to do that.
We should make that a bonus episode at one point in time. John Beltran's, just to compare.
Well, you know what? I should hold myself to it where I love all these comedies, but I haven't put the list together. I have a general list in my head. I could also, I've got like top 10 scenes as well that are pretty, classic, but I haven't formulated this in a certain order. But I'd love to. And I'm sure there's comedies I have not seen. I think I've seen, you're talking top-notch comedies, I probably have seen 90% of them. Super Troopers is one that I was told about repeatedly that I have not seen. So
Amazing.
that's on 10 bucket lists because that's how much I need to see that as urgently as possible.
You've seen it?
No.
Oh my God! It's one of those.
What about television, Adam? I mean, like The Office. I've seen every episode of The Office. I mean,
I tried. I couldn't do it.
When I was married, my wife at the time loved The Office.
Yeah.
And she'd sit there and just howl, and I'd sit there like, this is the dumbest damn thing. And
Yeah.
then after a while, I started getting into it, and I really did enjoy it. So.
yeah, no, I liked it. Did you have a favorite TV show, a comedy, Moose?
I mean, over the years, there's a bunch of them. You know what I mean? I'll get on Netflix and I'll get on Parks and Rec is the one I've recently watched.
I'm just finishing season 4 of Parks and Rec. I caught up. I'm not caught up yet, but it's hysterical.
Being on the city council,
Yeah.
some of it reverbs to me and I laugh at it, and I'm like, I've been telling other guys like, you need to watch this show at times. I think one of my favorites, 30 Rock. You ever watch 30 Rock?
I watched some of 30. There's a lot of talent there. I mean, Tina Fey and Amy Poehler and obviously Alec Baldwin
and
Tracy Morgan. Yeah.
Morgan, yeah, but he's Tracy Jordan in the show. Right. So, I'll have to get back to you on the top. There's a lot of shows I like. People are going to hate this answer. I like the show Friends. You know what I mean?
I'm going to say this about Friends, okay? I had barely seen any episodes, and then we got to Christmas of 2019, and it was still on Netflix. So all of a sudden, I get a notice that effective January 1st, all the episodes are off of Netflix. So I go to a list of the top 50 friends, and I'm not a binge watcher, but I said, I got to watch this.
Right.
So I go to the top 50 episodes, Ross calling out another girl's name instead of Rachel, whatever, the whole deal. Yeah. Or calling Rachel's name out. So I watched the top 50 episodes and then some. And it's on every night on Nickelodeon, it seems. There's always episodes. I think Friends is hysterical. I really do.
Okay.
It might have been deemed by some as a chick comedy, but I think it's great. My daughter loves it. My wife hasn't watched much of it, but my daughter's in her late 20s. She thinks it's great. But I laughed at a lot of stuff on Friends.
So, I think it's to the point where it's got the status of like Nickelback or...
It does. No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it does.
People don't like you because it's popular not to like you.
But there's a reason it was popular. Now, I will say this, and I don't know if you guys saw a lot, but back in the day, you could not call me. In the 90s, if you called me, whatever it was, 8 o'clock, 8:30 while Seinfeld was on, I said, don't call me. I got to watch Seinfeld. So I became a Seinfeld fan like 2 or 3 seasons in. Yeah. And some of those fall flat, but Seinfeld, for some reason, I loved him.
I could never get into Seinfeld either.
So I like Seinfeld. I watched it.
I don't know. I tried. I don't know why. Maybe it's one of those things I just got to give it another chance. Originally, I was going to say Super Troopers. I hated it the first time I watched it. That, Talladega Nights. I hated it when I first watched it.
You know what movie that was for me? I couldn't stand Dumb and Dumber. I thought this is the stupidest movie I've ever seen.
You're killing me.
And then it grew on me. It's in my top 10. All right, Dumb and Dumber is in my top 10, but I couldn't stand it the first time I saw it.
Right.
Talladega Nights was there for me as well. I didn't like it, but rewatchability is a key to a good movie.
Right.
If you could see it 3, 4, 5 times, then
quotability is
that's true. Quotability as well. Yeah.
So, well, we're gonna end this here. We're gonna wrap it up. 3 great stories from Mr. John Beltran. I think you've thrown us for a loop. This is gonna be a tough one.
Definitely.
Nobody's got us both though. No one has ever got us both. One of us has always got it right. So, John, you might be the first one. And then we got to bury John Beltran and act like this never happened. So, super awkward. Anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this, for supporting the Bullhucker podcast. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. If you do check us out on YouTube, please make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, and if you're watching this and you watch it on YouTube, make sure you, in the comment section, tell us which one you think is the Bullhucker. We'll be watching. You can do it on Facebook as well, but that's kind of hard to. I'm learning. It's hard to keep up with Facebook because people share this, and I can't see.
Can't see them all, because if they comment on a share from the original, it's
right.
We don't see it,
Because I want to start doing some shout outs of people who get these right. Because the one that's right now is Jen Nebbs. The reveal happened this Wednesday, and there's been, I think, maybe 3 I've seen get it right, and everybody else has gotten it completely wrong. So she did a good job. The Finley one, you haven't watched it yet?
Not the whole thing yet.
Okay, well, there's one that Josh, neither one of us picked it, but everybody else picked a certain story. Everybody I talked to is like, oh, it's this one. It's got to be that one. And I was like, wow, no.
Well, that's when you know you have 3 good stories, right? Yeah. When everybody selects one or the other or the other. Like, there's not an obvious one sitting out there.
Right. So it'll be tough. But we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank you guys so much for checking us out, and we'll see you next week.